Good day, guys. Good day, everyone. Yo, welcome to my YouTube channel. And this is my YouTube channel, the code cracking. So, guys, this is my first video on YouTube. I just wanted to make a mark, lay a foundation, lay an introduction on what I'm going to be doing as the code cracking. So, I am basically going to be giving tutorial videos, that's basically what we're gonna be doing, tutorials on different coding styles and different programming languages, different just different coding stuff. So that's pretty much it. So today's video, actually, this is gonna be a continuous course, a continuous session on web development. So that's what I'm starting with. That's actually the easiest part of coding, web development. And this is just the introductory part. Today we're not writing any code, we're just maybe just a teaching session on what web development is. So first of all, the first thing I need to say is that for you to learn any programming language at all, any coding style, you have to exercise patience. I see YouTube videos where they tell you learn HTML in 5 minutes, learn CSS in 5 minutes, and it's not possible. You cannot learn even anything in 5 minutes. What you're just going to be doing is going to be cramming, and the popular saying is la cram, la pour. So when you cram it and you pour it out, there it is, just forget it. So I would like you guys to be patient. This video shouldn't take too long. I don't want it to take too long. Maybe 30 minutes and maximum 35 minutes we're done. So let's get started. Like I said earlier, it's going to be on web development. This is the introductory part. So under web development, there's some other things we need to talk about. So the first thing is what a website is. We're going to talk about the differences between a website and a web page. We're going to talk about web development and design, which is the main part which we're going to be talking about. And under that, we have HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then we're also going to be talking about front, back, and full stack, front, backend, and full stack development rather, and text editors and web browsers. And that's pretty much the guide which we have today. So let's get started. So I won't waste your time. So first of all, I want you guys to at least have a notepad with you, or a pen and paper, or a sound recorder, so that you can listen to this over and over again. And I believe you get something good. You have something to learn. So first and foremost, what is a website? Let's begin that. So a website is a collection of interconnected web pages accessible through a unique web address called a URL, that's short for Uniform Resource Locator, and hosted on a server that allows users to explore information, products, and services. So this is basically what a website is. When you go online and you search for a particular information on your Google, on Chrome, on whatever, it's going to open different websites that are going to take that information to you. And a website is just a collection of interconnected web pages. So the next slide is going to talk about the difference between a website and a web page. So if you really get what this is, that's good for you. But if you don't, you can go on, you can do further more research, you can explore more websites, more YouTube on what a website is. So I just really hope you understand that concept. What a website is: collection of interconnected web pages accessible through a unique web address, URL. And I said URL is short for Uniform Resource Locator. It is hosted on a server, and it allows users to explore information, product, and services. So with further ado, we have differences between a website and the web page. That's the second part of this lesson. So we have a website on one column and a web page on a different one. So we're gonna be contradicting them. We read the first part of a website, go to this next part of a web page. So the first thing is that a website houses content on a variety of topics, while a web page contains content about a specific topic. So like we said earlier, we said a website is a collection of interconnected web pages That means that in a website there are a lot of web pages, but a web page is just a single entity. So in a website you can get different variety of topics. For example, if you search up biology on Google, on maybe any different search engine or web browser, what that is going to do is going to show you list of websites, and when you click on those websites have different web pages. For example, if it's biology, those web pages could be adaptation, reproductive system, digestive system, movement, different topics under biology. But all those different topics are considered as web page because there's only a single content, a specified topic in them. So the next difference is that a website can be more complex to develop, while a web page is generally simpler to develop. Okay, so let's talk about this just for a while. I said a website can be complex to develop and a web page is generally simpler to develop. Okay, when we talk about complexity of development, means that it's actually harder for you to develop a website than for you to develop a web page, because like we said earlier, a website is connected, is different web pages with interrelated information, interconnected data coming together to form a single entity, and that is going to be a bit hard to develop because you're going to be linking them, you're just going to be having different ideas coming together. So for you to bring them together is gonna be a bit difficult. But in a web page, you're just gonna develop a singular idea, just maybe just a page or two, no links, maybe a link just to your own, maybe support me by paying this, support me by subscribing, something like that. That could just be a web page. But on a website, you're gonna have different links. So on a website of biology, you could have like almost six or almost 10 pages of different topics. But on a web page of biology, you could just have one and a half or maximum 2 pages of or just one topic. And a website takes more time. The development of a website takes a lot of time. The harder it is, the more time you have to spend on it for you to actually do it properly. While a web page takes less time because it is simpler than a website. And we said if a website is deleted, the website and other links, sorry, if a web page, sorry, pardon me, if a web page is deleted, the website and other linked websites will still function. But for a web page, if the domain is down, the website won't function. Okay, so if a website is deleted, the website, okay. So in a website of biology, for example, let's say we have three topics which are adaptation, digestive system, and respiration. Let's just take those three topics. Those three topics are three different web pages coming to a website called biology. So if we take away adaptation, we are going to be left with respiration and digestive system. And those other two web pages will still function because adaptation doesn't have anything to do with them. You're just exempting an information. So it can be like this bowl of blue balls, for example, and you take, or let's say a bowl of 10 blue balls, and you take away one blue ball and you hide it or you keep it somewhere, you're gonna have 9 blue balls. It doesn't change the fact that any of the blue balls are broken or they're affected. You're just gonna have a reduced number of items on your website. But for a web page, if the domain is down, the website won't work. And the domain is just pretty much the main URL of the website. So if even a single letter is removed from the domain name, is usually called domain name, the website won't work. Okay, we have examples of websites. We have google.com, like I said earlier. We have wikipedia.org, and we have testbook.com. All these are examples of websites and they contain different web pages. For example, of a web page, we have the home page, the blog page, product page, contact us page, and so many others. So if we bring home page, blog page, and all these web pages together and we connect them with a URL and we host it on a server, it will give us a website. Let's move on to the next heading. So we're gonna be talking about web development and design, and this is where I want you guys to be more and more attentive because this is what basically we're going to be doing for the next 5 or 6 videos. web development and design. So we said web development and design are distinct but intertwined fields. So people usually mix up what is web development and what is web design, sorry, but they are separate, and we're gonna be looking at them. Web design, first of all, web design focuses on the visual elements, the user interface experience, that's the UI UX, that's user interface, user experience of a website. And web development focuses on the technical aspects and functionality, bringing the design to life through coding. So web design is just you putting a plan ahead of you that, okay, I want to design a website on this, I want to design this, and you have the layout of how the website is going to be, but that website is not actually materialized yet. It's just a design of how it's going to be. While web development, on the other hand, is bringing that design to life, which is you're gonna do that through coding, bringing that design to life. And we can say web design. If you want to take it to another field like the technical aspect, we can say that web design is the architecture, the architectural work. So in building, we have the architectures and we have the structural engineers. So the architectures just write out the plan, the drawing rather, for how the house is going to look like. But the structural engineers are the ones that will take that plan and actually hire people to bring that plan, that drawing, bring it to reality. So that's just how it is in web design and web development. Web design is you just say this is how I want my website to be. It should be with this, with that, with those. And web development is actually bringing those your ideas so they will function, bringing your design to life, and you can only do that through coding. So in web development, you're going to make use of three basic elements. I won't call them programming language because it's only, I think, no, I don't think they're programming language. We'll get to that. So we're going to make use of three basic elements, and the first element is HTML. So what is HTML? So HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. That's the full meaning. HTML is an abbreviation for Hypertext Markup Language. It is a markup language and not a programming language. I want you guys to take note of that very well. HTML is a markup language. It is not a programming language in any way. It does not write programs. It does not give algorithms for functions. It's just when we say markup, a markup can be like a build-up language. So it is used to structure and define the content of web pages. Meaning of HTML, what it is and what it is used to do. So it is a markup language and not a programming language. I repeat that again, not a programming language. It is used to structure and define the content of web pages. Hope that is clear. So the next element we're going to be using when we're talking about web development and design is CSS. That's another element that goes in line with HTML. So what is CSS actually? CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. So CSS is another abbreviation again, which is for Cascading Style Sheets. And it is a style sheet language and not a programming language. Just like HTML, HTML is a markup, not a programming. CSS is a style sheet language, not a programming language. And CSS is used for specifying the presentation and styling of a document, usually built by a markup language such as HTML or XML. So when you do your HTML, you're just pretty much doing the development actually of the design. Should be something on a piece of paper, or you can have it in your head if you're someone that remembers that a lot. But you want to bring that your design to life, you're going to make use of HTML, you're going to make use of CSS, and there's one last thing, we'll get to that. So your HTML is the structure of the web page, the header. These are just common HTML tags, so we'll use that in the next video where I'll be doing a tutorial on actually HTML. So you're just gonna have the head, the body, the paragraphs, all of those. But CSS is for styling of a document. So when you use HTML, your document is pretty much just gonna be plain. It's not gonna be designed, it's not gonna be colorful, it's not gonna be beautiful. But if you want to add the styling, the design, the coloration to your document, you're gonna make use of CSS. And the last element is JavaScript. So okay, there are two things here. There's Java and there's JavaScript. People usually intertwine them. JavaScript and Java are quite different. So we'll get to that later on. What is JavaScript? JavaScript is a programming language, not a markup language nor a styling sheet language. So we said that HTML and CSS are not programming languages. Only Java. Only Java is a programming language. JavaScript, sorry. Even I intertwined them. I put Java instead of JavaScript. So we have JavaScript is a programming language, and it is used to implement complement features on a web pages. So there's some features that, sorry, complex. I said complement. Sorry, pardon me on that. It is used to implement complex features on a web page, on web pages or on a web page or even a website. So there's some things that even there's some attributes that are features that when you want to design your website, you can't do them alone with HTML and CSS. Even if you combine them, it's not gonna be very efficient. So if we look at popular websites, if you search up an information on Google or whatever, you're gonna see a website that looks very beautiful, not just black and white, not just even colored. You're gonna see different features, and those features don't only use HTML and CSS. They also have a bit or even a lot of JavaScript. So JavaScript is used to make interactive maps, sorry. It's used to make animated 2 or 3D graphics. It's used to make tiny content updates. So for example, Jumia, we know that prices of goods rise and fall each day. So the Jumia website is a combination of HTML. You can't create any website without actually having HTML, of CSS, the different colors. I think Jumia's color is orange. Yeah, it should be orange. And then JavaScript, where you see they have the search bar. That search bar is created with JavaScript, and timely content updates, whereby they see, okay, Black Friday, Christmas, different stuff. Those things are made with JavaScript. Okay, wait. So this is just a photo of this is just a photo of the three main elements which we're going to be putting together in our next videos to create a very good and efficient website. So we have HTML, JavaScript, and CSS, and these are their latest versions. We have HTML5, JavaScript 5, and CSS 3. So before we get to the next video, I would advise you guys to get these ready so that when we start coding, you do not have to go over the stress of downloading them again. And you can get this anywhere. Not okay, it's not available on Microsoft Store. You can just put it up in your search engine. Okay, you're not gonna search for HTML. So you're not gonna search for HTML as an application. It's not an application. It's a markup language. So let's get how will you get those elements. So first of all, before we get to that, we're going to be talking about front and back end development. So when you're creating a website, there are like I said, three main elements. There are going to be some other elements such as React, um, Vue.js. Those are other different elements you can add to your website. But a website is constituted of three main elements, and those are HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And we are also going to be adding three more things, which is front end development, back end development, and full stack development. So what is front end and back end development? Front end development focuses on the user facing part of a website or application, ensuring a user friendly and visually appealing experience through coding and design techniques. So that's pretty much what front end development does. The user facing part, what the user can see. For example, if this was a website, as you guys are seeing what is on my screen right now, what I've done, I've created front end development, and that is pretty much making it user friendly. You can easily navigate through it. It is visually appealing, something that is beautiful. It's not ugly, because people do not like ugly stuff. And you're going to be doing front end through coding and design techniques. And examples of front end languages are HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, Vue.js and AngularJS, and there are so many more. There's a lot of them. So these are just the main front-end languages. So the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript we're going to be using are front-end languages. So hope that's clear, that's understandable. Front-end is dealing with the user experience, the user friendliness, the visual, the beauty of the website or even the application. So we're going to talk a bit on back-end development. So back-end development runs on the server and handles the application's logic and data. So when you're doing back-end level development, it's not, your user can't actually see your back-end development. What they're going to see is your front end. So the back end is talking about your application's logic, data, and databases. So to every website you create, there has to be a database where the information people input in that website are stored, and that database is going to be on your part, that's going to be on your the main server. So you can take that information and use it to answer the audience that asked it. That's just pretty much backend does, is the application's logic and data, how the application runs. Why front end is just you looking at it. You can see the front end and you cannot see the back end development of a website or an application. So examples of front end languages are Java. So you see in in front end we have JavaScript as an example. But when you're dealing with front end, you're making use of Java. And Java and JavaScript are different. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna just talk a bit on that. Not this video actually. You can research on that just to know. So we have Java, PHP, which is supposed to go along with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, but we are not gonna do that. PHP is actually a bit complex, and we may not do a tutorial on PHP. Like I said, I'm targeting the audience of beginners. So if you do not know how to code, you do not know how to do web development, this video is for you. And if you do know how to do web development, you can still watch this just to get more knowledge, to expand your knowledgeability on websites and web development. So we have Python, Ruby, C Sharp, and SQL, that structured query language. So when we talk about this, we're done with front and back end development, and the last constituent is full stack development. Excuse me, full stack development. So what is full stack development? Full stack development encompasses the entire process. Sorry about that. Encompasses the entire process of creating web applications involving both the front end and the back end development. It allows the developers to handle all aspects of application, or what we're gonna put here rather is web creation. So when we talk about full stack development, you're just combining both the front end and the back end development together, and that is going to give you a full stack development. So in an application that you make use of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Java, Python, C Sharp, SQL, when you put all those together, you create an application. What you have done is you have developed the full stack running of that application, of that program, or of whatever. So you're just going to combine both the front end and the back end. So front end plus back end equals to full stack development. And full stack development allows the developers to handle all aspects of application creation. So we're going to talk a bit on, I don't know why I keep doing that. I'm having something, excuse me. We're going to talk a bit on text editors and web browsers. Text editors and web browsers. First of all, what is a text editor? A text editor is a computer program that allows a user to create and edit plain text, often used for coding, scripting, and general note taking. So when we talk about the text editor, is a computer program, something that is already in your computer, or you have to install it, and it is used for coding, scripting, and general note taking. Coding is what we are going to be using our text editors for. Scripting, we are also going to make use of that when we do JavaScript and some other things. General note taking, yeah, for example, your notepad You can just do a list items of what you want to achieve today, or just take a note down. So examples of popular text editors, there are more than this, just popular ones are Sublime Text, Visual Studio Code, Notepad++, Atom, and etc. So many others of them. So Sublime Text is actually a very good text editor for mainly your HTML, CSS, and JavaScript for web develop. I'll just call it web development. And Visual Studio Code is actually very efficient, very reliable. It's very user friendly, and that is what I use, and that is what I'm going to keep using, and that is what I'm going to use for pretty much all our tutorial videos. That's Visual Studio Code, because it's alerts you when there's an error in your code. It shows you where the error is, so it's just pretty much easier. And things like Notepad and Notepad++ are a bit complex because you can't actually see the errors in your code. It doesn't complete them for you, so those are like call them outdated text editors. Don't Nobody should feel offended. So if you want to continue in this tutorial with me, I advise you get Sublime Text or Visual Studio Code or Atom. Please, those are just the three main text editors that are sound and generally easy to use. So we're done with text editors. They're used for coding, scripting, and general net taking, and they're obviously computer programs. So we go on to browsers. A browser is an application package for accessing web pages and navigating the internet. So with a web browser, or it's also called a browser, you can access different web pages. You can navigate through the internet. You're gonna use your web browser to search for information over the internet, and that's gonna display different websites or different web pages. So examples of popular web browsers we have are Firefox, Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, and Internet Explorer. I make use of Google Chrome and Microsoft Edge, but when I want to run and debug my codes, that's codes I write with Visual Studio Code, I usually make use of Microsoft Edge. I don't know why, I just prefer Microsoft Edge. And I think there was once a time I used Google Chrome. Google Chrome is not that bad. It's actually it looks like Microsoft Edge, but I don't know, I just prefer Microsoft Edge. So you can go with any of these four mentioned: Firefox, Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, Internet Explorer. So other web browsers we have are Safari, Opera, and I have never made use of those before. I do not know anything about Safari because I think Safari is for the Apple products, and I'm not using Apple, so none of my devices are used. None of my devices are Apple products, so I don't know anything about Safari. Alright guys, we have come to the end of today's video. Like I said earlier, we are not doing any coding, we're not writing any codes today, just an introduction to what I'm going to be doing in the next 5 or even 6 videos. For the next 5 or 6 videos, we're going to be writing code, we're going to be building structures of websites. And if you guys have stayed to the end of this video, thanks a lot. That's really motivating. If you enjoyed the video, please leave it a like. If you want to support me further, leave a subscribe to my YouTube channel. This is my first YouTube video, and I hope it goes big. I hope it goes, it just runs the internet. But Mr. Beast once said that your first YouTube video is not gonna get you a lot of views, and that's how it is. YouTube is actually hard to get views. So if you guys have stayed to the end of this course, I really appreciate you guys. Please leave it a like, subscribe. If you have anything to say, any questions to ask, you leave it in the comments. My comment box is open, and I'm gonna read the comments and answer each of you guys wisely. Thank you guys so much for staying to the end. Once again, I am the Code Kraken, making and sharing tutorials, challenges through pretty much just videos. Thank you guys so much.